5:12 local time. The sea lies perfectly flat. The horizon is clear. Then the soundscape breaks apart. On the sonar display, a thin green line firms into shape. Not interference, not weather. A contact. Low frequency, steady, controlled, far too disciplined to be anything else. Contact bearing 187. No one looks up. They do not need to. Every station already understands what that means. The ship does not alter course. Not yet. A second trace appears on the screen, offset by 30 degrees. Different depth, different rhythm, same purpose. Second contact bearing 221. The air inside the compartment tightens. This is no coincidence anymore. The sonar operator rolls back 3 minutes of data and replays the acoustic history. The signatures line up. The gaps are deliberate. Someone below is pacing the ship, measuring speed, counting each turn of the screw. Third contact bearing 039. Now it is a pattern. 3 underwater contacts, 3 bearings, 3 depths. Closing in, there are no alarms, no shouted commands, only the low, steady hum of systems shifting into a new posture. Screens redraw, filters change. The ship is still moving forward, but it is no longer at ease. Condition 3. Set and man all key stations. The order moves through the ship without echo. Steel doors seal, consoles brighten. The ship's profile tightens, not in movement, but in awareness. On the sonar waterfall, the contacts sharpen. One runs deep, well below the thermal layer, using cold water to hide its movement. Another stays higher, skimming the gradient where sound bends and breaks. The third holds between them, adjusting speed in small, exact increments. They are not searching. They already know where the ship is. The helmsman keeps the course steady. 20 knots, no deviation, no sign of concern from the surface. Nothing changes. That is the point. The sonar supervisor leans closer to the display. He does not identify the contacts aloud. He does not have to. The blade rates, the harmonic spacing, the absence of civilian clutter. This is military, modern, trained. The ship is being measured. One contact adds 2 knots. Not enough to make noise, just enough to reduce the distance. Another slides laterally, shifting bearing to cut off a projected turn the ship has not even made. They are building a box. Range decreasing. The words land with weight, not because they are loud, but because they are calm. In the control spaces, calculations begin to run in parallel. Closest point of approach. Time to convergence. What the contacts would detect if the ship turned now. What they would hear if it stayed on course. The answer comes back the same. Hold. A faint vibration passes through the hull as onboard systems adjust. Not weapons, sensors. The ship is listening harder now, dividing the ocean into layers of probability. The deep contact rises slowly, deliberately, probing the thermal boundary. It pauses, then continues. That hesitation matters. It means the other side is thinking. This is not a chance encounter, not 2 patrols crossing paths. 3 submarines do not arrive together by accident, and they do not maneuver like this without a plan. Then one of them slips. A brief spike. Barely a whisper. Active for less than a second, but enough. No one in the room reacts outwardly. Internally, everything locks into place. The spike confirms doctrine, confirms origin, confirms coordination. This is not a lone hunter. This is a team working from the same playbook, and they believe they have the advantage. The ship does nothing to challenge that belief. Minutes pass. The surface remains calm. Above deck, the ocean reflects the morning light like polished glass. To anyone watching from a distance, it is just another gray hull moving across open water. Below, 3 silent machines continue to close. The sonar operator watches the deepest contact creep toward the ship's acoustic shadow, where background noise and self-generated sound overlap. A classic move. Pure textbook. The second contact tightens its arc. The third remains patient, holding position and waiting for the moment the ship commits to a response. It never comes. The ship keeps its speed, keeps its heading, keeps its silence. And inside that silence, something changes. The contacts adjust again. Not aggressively, not yet, but enough to reveal intent. Enough to show that they are no longer just observing. They are shaping the conditions. On the sonar display, the 3 traces now form a clean geometry. Triangular, deliberate, closing. This is the moment before escalation. The held breath before motion. The point where someone becomes certain they have chosen the right target. Below the thermal layer, the box tightens and no one aboard says what everyone already knows. They are being surrounded, and the submarines believe they have picked the right ship. 5:19 local time. The geometry beneath the ship tightens further. On the sonar plot, the three contacts no longer drift independently. Their movements now relate to one another. Small speed changes, subtle bearing corrections. Every adjustment anticipates where the ship could go, not where it is. This is coordinated maneuvering. The deepest contact settles well below the thermal layer, using cold, dense water to blur its acoustic outline. From there, it trails the ship's weight, remaining inside the noise naturally created by the hull. Classic shadow position. The second contact rides high, just beneath the gradient where sound bends unpredictably. It slides laterally, offsetting the ship's projected turns, denying easy escape routes without ever appearing rushed. The third remains central, neither deep nor shallow. It holds distance, acting as the stabilizer, the one that watches everything. 3 submarines, 3 roles, 1 target. Contact spacing is deliberate. The report is factual, almost understated, but the meaning is unmistakable. This is not harassment, it is containment. The ship's internal clock moves forward. Every minute without action gives the submarines more data. Speed, machinery rhythms, control responses, everything a quiet hunter wants to learn. The ship gives them nothing extra. Course steady, speed unchanged. Above the surface, the ocean stays indifferent. No wakes, no aircraft, no visible escorts, just open water and a single gray hull moving as though nothing is wrong. Below, the box tightens another degree. The shallow contact accelerates briefly, then slows again, testing for a reaction. None comes. No turn, no speed change. The maneuver fails to draw a response, so the center contact adjusts instead, sliding 5 degrees to port, sealing a gap that did not exist a minute earlier. The formation rebalances smoothly, like gears meshing. The sonar operators track the changes in silence. They do not narrate every motion. They do not need to. The pattern is obvious to anyone trained to read it. This is a textbook encirclement. The deep contact inches closer, careful not to cross into a zone where its own noise would flare against the ship's sensors. It holds just far enough back to remain ambiguous, but close enough to threaten. Range continues to fall. The ship's internal displays update without pause. Predicted closest points of approach shift from theoretical to uncomfortable. Still safe, still within limits, but trending in the wrong direction. The commanding officer watches the same data everyone else sees. He says nothing. Not because there is nothing to say, but because the ship's posture already says it all. Stay predictable. Stay calm. Any abrupt move now would collapse uncertainty in the submarine's favor. It would confirm assumptions, expose intent, signal weakness. So the ship waits. Below, the submarines seem to grow more confident. The shallow contact edges upward, flirting with the boundary of the thermal layer. It wants better sound, better clarity. It risks a little to gain a lot. The center contact compensates immediately, easing back half a knot to keep spacing intact. No collision, no overlap. The choreography is clean. These crews have trained together. The sonar supervisor notes the timing. The delays between adjustments are shrinking. Decisions are being made faster now. That usually means one thing: they believe the ship is boxed in. Multiple contacts maintaining closure. The phrase settles over the room like weight. Not dramatic, definitive. The deep contact now sits almost directly astern, aligned with the ship's axis. The shallow contact blocks the starboard arc. The center contact holds the port side in depth control. The ship is not trapped, but the submarines think it is. That is the danger zone. Not because immediate action is certain, but because perception is hardening. Once an adversary believes it controls the situation, it behaves differently, more boldly, less cautiously. The ship continues straight ahead. Inside the hull, systems hum at a constant pitch. No extra noise, no abrupt changes. The vessel presents itself as routine, almost dull, and that may be the most unsettling part of all. The submarines pause their tightening motion, not completely, just enough to reassess. The formation holds, waiting for the ship to blink. It does not. Time stretches, 30 seconds, a minute, another minute. Then the first real shift appears. The center contact changes depth by a small but meaningful margin. Subtle, but unmistakable. A preparatory move. A repositioning meant to improve leverage if the next phase begins. That movement ripples through the formation. The other two respond at once, preserving the triangular geometry. The box is complete now. 3 submarines, 1 surface ship. Every movement synchronized. From their perspective, the conditions are set. From the ship's perspective, something else is becoming clear. This formation is precise, confident, aggressive. And confidence underwater always carries a price. The ship continues on, silent, steady, as the submarines settle into positions they believe are dominant. They are closing in, and they still believe they have chosen the right target. 5:27 local time. The first crack in the formation is almost impossible to see. On the sonar display, it appears to be nothing more than a fractional change in tone. A shift so brief it could be dismissed as background interference. Less than a second, gone before most ears would even catch it. But it is real. A single active ping cuts through the water. Not a full search burst, not an open challenge, just enough energy to sharpen the picture, enough to lock in range and bearing with confidence. Whoever sent it believes they are safe. The ship shows nothing on the surface. No turn, no change in speed, no answering signal. To anyone below, the pulse seems to vanish into silence. Inside the ship, everything shifts. The sonar team marks the exact second, the frequency, the decay pattern. That 1 second whisper reveals more than several minutes of passive tracking. It confirms machinery class. It confirms doctrine. It confirms that the contact believes it holds the better position. That confidence matters. The deep contact remains steady astern, still tucked inside the ship's acoustic shadow. The shallow contact creeps closer to the thermal layer, drawn by the promise of cleaner returns. The center contact keeps the geometry intact. They are comfortable now. The ship remains predictable by design. Then, without warning, it makes a move so small it is almost invisible. A slight depth adjustment, barely noticeable from the surface. A change measured in feet, not meters. Speed stays the same. Heading stays the same. To an untrained eye, it means nothing. Below the surface, it changes everything. The ship's acoustic profile shifts just enough to alter the way sound reflects from the hull. The deep contact's shadow turns uneven. The shallow contact's clarity softens. The center contact's range estimate slips by a fraction. The box does not break, but it bends. The shallow contact reacts first, sliding sideways to recover its preferred angle. The center contact changes depth to preserve balance. The deep contact hesitates, recalculating whether to rise or remain buried. That hesitation is noted. The ship holds its new profile, steady and unremarkable. No follow-up, no escalation, just consistency. Seconds pass, the submarines repair the formation, but the rhythm is different now. Their adjustments are no longer perfectly synchronized. One moves, another answers. The symmetry is gone. The ship's sensors catch it at once, not because the changes are dramatic, but because they are no longer seamless. That is the opening. Another small move follows, this time lateral. Just a few degrees, carried out so smoothly, it feels like routine navigation. No acceleration, no sharp edge, nothing that sounds unusual. Underwater, it forces a decision. The shallow contact tries to hold position, but drifts too close to the thermal boundary. Its signal sharpens for an instant, revealing more of its acoustic signature than intended. The deep contact slides outward to compensate, but in doing so, widens the triangle. The center contact moves to close the gap. For the first time, two submarines are adjusting at once instead of all three moving as one. The box loosens. No one celebrates, no one says a word. The ship does not push harder, it simply maintains the new posture and lets the physics do the work. The sonar supervisor watches the formation lose efficiency by degrees, not by miles. This is not collapse, it is erosion, small losses building on one another. The submarines sense it too. The center contact sends another brief ping, slightly longer than the first, still cautious. Still controlled, but now more assertive. Again, the ship offers nothing in return. That silence becomes unsettling. The pulse confirms something the submarine crews do not like. The ship's response time, its stability, its refusal to behave like a vessel under pressure. This ship is not trying to run. It is managing them. The shallow contact eases back slightly, gaining distance but sacrificing angle. The deep contact climbs a little in search of better sound. The center contact slows to preserve spacing. Three different solutions to the same problem. Then the ship makes its most important move so far. It does nothing. No correction. No follow-on maneuver. No escalation. It holds exactly where it is, forcing the submarines to reveal their priorities through reaction alone. And in that stillness, the data confirms what the sensors have already been suggesting. These submarines are trained, capable, coordinated. But now they are reacting, not controlling. The formation stabilizes once more, yet it is wider now, looser, less certain. The predicted control points no longer overlap cleanly. The box still exists, but it no longer dominates. Below the surface, the submarine crews reassess. Their models expected something else, a different response profile, a different kind of ship, one that would turn, accelerate, signal concern. That never happened. They selected a target expecting predictability under pressure. Instead, they found discipline, and discipline, when paired with patience, becomes dangerous. The ship continues on, calm and unhurried, while the submarines adjust again. They are still closing, but now they are thinking, and that means they are no longer fully in control. 5:36 local time. The water below the ship is no longer neutral. The three contacts remain there, still close, still maneuvering, but their movement has changed. What was once clean, confident geometry now carries hesitation. The ship reads it not emotionally, but mathematically. The sonar plots refresh. Predicted paths widen, overlaps disappear. The once tight triangle softens at the edges. The ship has not launched anything. It has not spoken. It has not accelerated or broken course. And still, the pressure has shifted. The deep contact rises a few more feet, searching for cleaner returns. That climb costs concealment. The thermal layer no longer shields it as effectively as it did minutes earlier. The shallow contact moves outward to recover angle, but the extra distance dulls its resolution. The center contact slows slightly, trying to hold the formation together. 3 adjustments, 3 compromises. The ship does not chase those compromises. It simply recognizes them. Then comes a subtle helm correction, almost impossible to notice from above deck, yet enough underwater to bend sound paths just beyond the submarine's expectations. The effect is immediate. The deep contact's bearing wavers, not wildly, just enough to force another calculation. The shallow contact's clarity flickers as it brushes the thermal boundary again. The center contact tightens its turn to compensate. Now 2 submarines are correcting for a single move. That is leverage. The ship steadies again and lets the reactions ripple outward. Seconds stretch. The formation seems to breathe. This is not an attack, not even a feint. It is the quiet use of physics and patience. Then one of the contacts makes a choice. The shallow contact adds a single knot. Not to rush in, but to reposition, to recover dominance on the starboard side. It is a mistake. That slight increase changes its acoustic signature. The difference is small but unmistakable. Blade rates sharpen, harmonics separate. The contact becomes easier to track. The ship records it. The deep contact reacts late, sliding laterally to restore coverage. That widens the triangle even more. The center contact moves to compensate. Now the spacing is uneven. The box is starting to come apart. No alarms sound. No voices rise. The ship's posture stays calm, almost detached. That detachment is deliberate. The submarines are expecting resistance, retreat, or warning. They get none of it. Instead, the ship makes its clearest move yet. A slow, continuous adjustment. No hard angles, no sudden speed change. Just a smooth alteration unfolding across nearly a full minute. Underwater, it is devastating. Sound paths shift gradually, denying the submarines a clean instant to reset. Their predictions fall behind reality by seconds, then by more. Each contact reacts to information that is already aging. The center contact sends another cautious ping. Longer this time, still brief, still controlled. The ship absorbs it. The return tells the submarine crew exactly what they do not want to accept. The ship's reactions are too precise, too measured, too aware. This is not improvisation, this is practice. The deep contact drops back, giving up proximity to recover concealment. The shallow contact widens its arc, choosing distance over angle. The center contact slows again, trying to rebuild coordination. They are no longer closing, they are stabilizing. The ship allows it. Minutes pass. Above, the sea looks unchanged. The wake trails behind the ship in a clean, unbroken line. To anyone watching from afar, nothing unusual is happening. Below, control has shifted. The predicted envelope dissolves into uncertainty. The submarines can still track the ship, still hear it, still monitor it, but the conditions they needed for decisive action are gone. One by one, the contacts begin to ease away. The shallow contact moves first, altering course by a few degrees, just enough to signal disengagement without admitting retreat. The deep contact follows, sinking back into colder water, choosing silence over position. The center contact lingers the longest, holding station, watching, perhaps waiting for one final mistake. It never comes. The ship remains steady, patient, unmoved. A minute later, the final contact turns away. Not abruptly, not dramatically, just enough to break the geometry. The box is gone. The ship does not claim anything. It does not force withdrawal through threats or visible power. It simply makes control too costly to maintain. As the contacts drift outward, the sonar room tracks their departure with the same calm precision it used to track their approach. No commentary, no visible relief, only confirmation. 3 submarines moved in believing they had the upper hand. They leave knowing they did not. The ship stays on course unchanged while the water beneath it slowly returns to silence. And the message, though never spoken aloud, is unmistakable. What they found was not weakness. It was control. 5:48 local time. The ocean settles. On the sonar displays, the 3 contacts are still there, but they are no longer closing in. Their bearings begin to drift outward. Their speeds level off into cautious margins. What had been pressure is now distance. What had been containment is now disengagement. The ship does not follow. There is no burst of speed, no turn to signal dominance, no message sent into the water. The vessel holds the same course and the same speed it has maintained since the first contact appeared. That consistency matters. One contact fades first, slipping deeper into colder water where sound grows thinner and more diffuse. Its signature softens, stretches, and then dissolves into the background. The second follows a few minutes later, widening its arc until its bearing no longer cuts across the ship's projected path. The third lingers. It stays just close enough to keep watch, just far enough to avoid commitment. One final look before breaking away. The ship allows it. Inside the hull, systems begin easing back from their heightened posture. Not all at once, not casually. Each station resets with care, confirming that the picture is real. No sudden returns, no reversals, no surprises. Then the final contact turns away. The sonar plot clears. What remains is open water and the familiar steady acoustic rhythm of the ship itself. No announcement marks the end of the encounter. No spoken confirmation moves through the compartments. None is needed. Everyone already knows the moment has passed. The data is secured. Timestamps are aligned. Every adjustment, every brief probe, every hesitation is preserved exactly as it happened. Not for show, not for storytelling, for understanding. That is how encounters like this are measured. Not by what was launched, not by what was threatened, but by who kept control. Above deck, the sea looks unchanged. The sun climbs higher. The horizon remains empty. To anyone watching from a distance, it would appear that nothing happened at all. That is exactly the point. The ship continues along its original track, untouched in appearance. Its wake cuts the same clean line it did an hour earlier. No deviation. No delay. Below the surface, 3 submarines leave with something less visible than damage. They leave with information. They entered the encounter believing they understood the ship's limits, its likely reactions, its thresholds under pressure. They leave knowing those assumptions were incomplete. This was not settled by overwhelming force. It was settled by discipline, by restraint, by refusing to hand initiative over to expectation. The ship never announced what it could do. It never displayed power in any obvious way. It never tried to win in a form that could be measured quickly. Instead, it let the environment do the work. Sound, time, geometry. The submarines adjusted because they had to. Because holding dominance demanded more exposure than they were willing to accept. Because every correction revealed something they could not take back. Silence favored the prepared. As the last traces fade from the displays, the ship returns fully to routine operations. Watches rotate, logs are updated, the day moves on. There is no ceremony attached to success like this. No visible marker, no headline, only a record. Somewhere below the thermal layer, the water keeps no memory of what happened. But the crews involved will. They will remember a ship that refused to behave as expected, a target that did not respond the way targets are supposed to respond when 3 submarines begin to close in. They will remember patience. And the next time they shape a formation, the next time they try to build a box around a surface contact, that memory will already be there, quietly influencing decisions before they are even made. The ship does not look back. It never had to. It moves on, steady and unremarkable, carrying a truth that needs no explanation. In modern naval conflict, dominance is not always announced. Sometimes it is simply understood, and sometimes the strongest message is the one delivered without a sound.